the People's Power Party have issued our second press release for so long already, 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks now. No response from MOH, Ministry of Health. Right? Oh. We will declare victory in that sense. Why? That means we are not POFMA for all this data. It's not POFMable, right? Basically because these are the data from official sources. ICA website. Assess death, all-cause assess mortality, percentage, right? There's presumably nothing wrong with our presentation, and the horrifying 20% on average of excess death. Okay? And these are the charts for each and every year. 2021, that is how it looks like. 2022, that's how it looks like. 23. So for a government that likes to POFMA anything, everything, they did not POFMA us over all this. Right? Most important is this. They have nothing to respond. Why? Because they cannot respond. And I want to say this. They make a very serious claim against us. They say that we make egregious false claim. False claim. But they cannot prove what is false about it. Because we are going to prove with all our data there's no false claim. There are no false claims. We actually put in more citations of research papers published. Even the one that they said one of the research paper or autopsy was withdrawn by Lancet. It was put back, peer review, and published again, not by Lancet. And Lancet was actually criticized for censorship. Right? And that report actually says, out of 300 plus autopsy of those sudden death, those people died suddenly. Right? They found that was published all over the place. They collect all this and do an in-depth analysis. Among all these sudden death cases that have autopsies, 74% around there, right, are most likely due to COVID vaccine. Right? Now, if you remember, I was POFMA, I think two of my POFMA by MOH was about an old gentleman who have heart attack, cardiac arrest, only 1 day, less than 24 hours after taking a jab. Right? Our POFMA was saying that because they said they did autopsy, find nothing wrong, and blah, blah, blah. Right? Fine. Never mind, there is one case. Now I'm putting up a big data that assess death overall. All cause assess death. Just to make a point. At a single data digit, you can deny all of them. Right? But on the national-wide time series data, when we do this comparison, it is very clear something is wrong somewhere. And this pre-vaccination and post-vaccination period comparison. The trend is more or less the same, but there's a jump in excess death. Right? Nothing beats this. How are we going to explain it? Do they have an explanation? This is a matter of life and death. Right? And a national concern. It should rightfully be a national concern, but nobody, absolutely nobody in Parliament have shown any concern about this. Nothing is raised. Why? Nobody is interested? Why? You know, to me, I find it very disappointing. Even Singaporeans at large are shunning away from all these inconvenient observations around them. I do not know why. They prefer not to say anything about it. Right? They do not want to say anything about it. I do not know. Maybe people are not interested. But I tell you, I'm determined to walk into Parliament with the blessing of the voters. To make a point, never again should we allow the government to push for an anti-vaccine that have no long-term safety data for 100% vaccination. Trying to force everyone to take the vaccine when there's no long-term data. Right? I still consider that reckless. Totally reckless in that sense. Okay? Seriously, why would we want to do this? To be so reckless in our decision to rush into that. Does the COVID really produce so much death in any sense? I don't think so. Is it not? I don't think so. The death rate from COVID infection was less than 1%. In fact, in Singapore, it's 0.6 or 0.7%, around there. Right? Out of all the infection, it might be even lower now, but we do not have data. Right? So why are you pushing for vaccination without long-term safety data? It doesn't make sense. Even the young ones you push, when the young ones have at least probabilities, chances of being hospitalized or death from being infected by COVID. Why would you want to do that? It doesn't make sense. Are they following the science as they claim? If science is not about statistics and data and probability and chances, I do not know what it is based on. This guy is my hero. Right? Why? He was actually from the Conservative, a UK MP from the UK MP, Mr. Andrew Bridgen. Right? He was from the Conservative MP since 2014, I think. He could have kept quiet because his party is a ruling party anyway. Right? Why should he rock the boat? Why should he question his own party leaders and ministers? But he did. And for continuously making issues about the safety of the vaccine, right? He was finally expelled from Conservative Party for a Twitter tweet, okay, that was made. But he persevered because in in UK constitution, you do not lose your MP seat even if you are expelled from your party. Okay? He continues to speak in Parliament, in the British Parliament, even when almost all of the other MPs from, whether it's from the Labour or from the Conservative, that means the ruling or the opposition party, left the chamber. Don't want to hear, don't want to listen to his speech. The inconvenient truth that he's speaking in Parliament. He continued to speak up. Because he believed safety and the lives of the British subjects, so-called, his constituents, are the most important thing, regardless of him being persecuted or ostracized by his own Conservative Party or his parliamentary colleagues. And that is, you really need great integrity, courage, right, and perseverance in doing that. Right? He continued to touch on the excess death in England. Actually, in England, frankly speaking, the excess death is actually much lesser than Singapore, right? In percentage-wise. But he persevered. He felt that it's abnormal when the excess death is out of the norm, plus minus 5%. Put it that way. Right? He brought it up again and again, and finally, starts to have 5 or 6 MPs listen to him and agree to him, right, to sign petition. Then another 20 MPs or so from different parties to stand by him, to ask for transparency from the Ministry of Health in UK, right, to release data and information on excess death. We need such person in Parliament, in our own Parliament, without fear nor favor, who will stand up and question relentlessly for issues, real issues that is important, when his life and death is important to the nation. Right? We do not have any at the moment. Sad to say, we do not have any. We only have politicians who will mock at us and say we are the dangerous tribe, the anti-vax. Label us as anti-vax. We are not anti-vax. There might be some people who are anti-vax, but I'm not anti-vax. Right? But one brush, a dangerous tribe, smearing us whenever they have the opportunity. Right? Or even mock at us, saying we are the graduate from the WhatsApp universities. Nonsensical. Instead of looking hard at data, at information, at the basic logic of decency, whether certain decision made is justifiable or is reckless. And it's with this mission in mind, I want to pick up my courage again to do the undaunting task of contesting the election again. I have said before, correct? I have said before, in 2020, I wanted to retire. It's very tiring. But when I see the state of affairs in our parliamentary debates and sittings and all that, no MPs is concerned about the life and death of our citizens when there are excess death occurring in our population. All of them pretend nothing happens. See no evil, hear no evil, talk no evil. Awesome. This is really unacceptable to me. Therefore, I'm determined to work my way with my team to get into Parliament. Once we are into Parliament, we will request a committee of inquiry to the vaccine safety issue, the inquiry to the decision-making processes of pushing for 100% of vaccination for the population when there is absolutely no long-term safety data at all. We are not talking about efficacy. Leave that aside. In the spirit of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, when we first want to introduce the vaccination program for our children, the BCG, he stated it must be 100% or 300% safe before we introduce to the public, to our people, to our citizens, to our fellow brothers and sisters, and our youngsters. Not in such a reckless way, without safety, long-term safety data. Just because they didn't build enough hospital beds, provide enough hospital beds for an increasing population, which is their own doing. It is totally unacceptable. And the fact is, what we are looking right now is most probably the long-term data or the mid-term data, I say, that we are supposed to have before we introduce mass inoculation. And the data doesn't look good. Yet they ignore. They smear us again and again, say we are making egregious false claim without even looking into it or trying to explain how come we have such 20% excess death as compared to pre-vaccination period. And when we put up the data, we put our argument, they shy away because they can't continue to smear us in the face of all this data. And they know if they're going to respond again and everybody can start to look at our data again, our argument, our press release again, right? They will lose the confidence and the trust of Singaporeans because the data is compelling that the vaccination program must stop before we can get to the bottom of this excess death issue, because the vaccination program is the prime suspect. I'm not saying it's definitely is the one that is causing the excess death. No. They will twist my words, definitely. But that's not what we are saying. We are saying that the correlation is too compelling statistically to ignore. When they don't respond, when they do not even try to rebut us, it means we are right to project that concern. But they are not doing anything about it. Yet still trying to say that, oh, for the last 2 years, 60% of people didn't take their booster jab and all that. What rubbish. I think most Singaporeans are smarter than they thought. 60% at least. Right? They either find that there's no necessity because the risk of COVID infection is so low. And obviously people found their early treatment protocol, which I actually encouraged, promoted. 莲花清瘟, the issue of 莲花清瘟 haven't concluded yet. Right? There's absolutely no necessity for most of our people. Most of our people think like that. Whether they agree with me or not, whether the jab is doesn't have long-term data, safety data, or the prime suspect for assess them and all that, for all the injuries, no, they will feel that they can handle the COVID infection. And yet, our Ministry of Health is so concerned that 60% didn't take. Are they going to push for 100% booster jab again? What is really wrong with them? Sometimes I think, let it go. People tell me, Goh Meng Seng, let it go lah. Huh? I say, they don't let us go. That's the issue. I didn't want to mention this again. I didn't want to bother myself with spending money, campaigning. You think campaigning is fun, is it? It's not fun. You got a lot of things to do. And you're not paying for any single cent for that. But I am determined to walk into Parliament and show the whole lot what is considered as national interest, of paramount national interest to the people and to the country. Ignoring, glaring excess death is basically ignoring national interest. That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. And please, we need all the donations to fight the election. Without the support, without the support of Singaporeans, donors, there's no way we can fight the massive machineries of PAP. They can give free ice cream, free shelter service, right? Free this and that, more CDC vouchers. They have the support of the whole machinery of a People's Association, apart from their own machineries. We basically have nothing in comparison. We only have your backing. And if you do not back us up, we will not get the deserved attention to the issues that's paramount of our national interest. Because none in Parliament have shown that interest at all. Thank you for watching and good night.